Jimmy was having a night. Jonathan Kuminga was having a night. Draymond upped the intensity and the physicality. Steph has been having an incredible few games so far. 16 points, but you can feel his gravity the whole time.
I think you've gotten him into such a solid rhythm early here.
I think he's really matured. He's had a great camp. We've had some really good conversations.
After months of drama, doubt, and a contract standoff that nearly tore everything apart, Jonathan Kuminga just silenced every single critic with the performance of his young career. If you want more Warriors breakdowns like this, smash that subscribe button right now.
Seeing him really figure things out off the court too, like just mentality-wise and being able to be okay with different situations. It's really impressive to me to see him. Like this summer was cool for just when whatever the drama was, but him getting here and the attitude, the energy that he had, even when stuff wasn't going his way, the person that he was able to be, the way he played on the court, it's just maturity is what it seems like.
Let's rewind for a second, because to truly understand what Jonathan Kuminga did Monday night at Chase Center, you need to know the storm he just walked through to get here. This wasn't just another game. This was personal. All summer long, Kuminga and the Warriors were locked in a brutal contract stalemate. The young forward wanted to be paid like a star, seeking around $35 million annually. The Warriors? They maxed out at around $30 million. For 92 days, nobody budged. Nobody blinked. The tension was suffocating. Finally, at the end of September, they found middle ground. A 2-year, $48.5 million deal with a team option in year 2. But here's the thing. This wasn't a love story. This was a compromise born out of necessity. Both sides clearly wanted to move on from each other, but the situation made it impossible. The whispers started immediately. Kuminga's not happy. He's going to be a distraction. This team is done. Trade rumors swirled like a California wildfire. His agent went on podcasts for 40 minutes talking about their frustrations. The Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings were circling like sharks, ready to pounce. But then something changed. Warriors coach Steve Kerr noticed it first. After those first few games of the season, Kerr told reporters,
Passing has improved dramatically. He's made so many good passes, not only in games, but in practices. I think he's seeing the floor better. But I just like the approach. I like the vibe that he's bringing. He's confident.
And then came Monday night against Memphis. The Warriors came into this game hungry. 3 days earlier, they'd been embarrassed by the Portland Trail Blazers, losing 139 to 119. It was ugly, it was concerning, and it raised questions about whether those first 2 wins were just fool's gold. Memphis wasn't going to make it easy either. Ja Morant had something to prove. The Grizzlies had already lost 7 straight games on the Warriors' home floor since October 2021. They wanted revenge. The game started exactly how Warriors fans hoped. Golden State jumped out to a quick 7-0 run. The ball was moving. Steph Curry was cooking. Everything looked smooth. Then Memphis punched back. Hard. The Grizzlies went on a fierce 12-0 run, with Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. combining for 17 first-quarter points to give Memphis a 37-36 lead heading into the second period. But this is where Kuminga started making his presence felt. By halftime, Jimmy Butler was leading the charge with 15 points. Steph Curry and Jonathan Kuminga each had 11 points. Golden State had 18 assists on 21 made baskets. The Warriors were playing beautiful basketball, and Kuminga was right in the middle of it. The lead at halftime? Just 4 points. This thing was still anyone's game. And then, the third quarter happened. This is where Jonathan Kuminga transformed from a talented young player with potential into the star the Warriors desperately need him to be. The Warriors, led by Moses Moody's red-hot shooting from beyond the arc, outscored Memphis 36-24 in the third quarter. Podziemski beat the third-quarter buzzer with a teardrop, giving Golden State a 101-85 lead heading into the fourth. But while Moody was raining threes, Kuminga was doing everything else. The rebounds, the assists, the deflections, the energy. He was everywhere. At one point, Kuminga found himself matched up against Ja Morant. With 4 inches in height difference, the pairing alone looked comical, though Kuminga was all business and stuck tight to the Grizzlies' point guard. This wasn't the Kuminga we'd seen before, the one who'd force bad shots, try to do too much, get in his own head. This was different. This was controlled aggression. This was maturity. Late in the fourth quarter, when Kuminga received an entry pass from Brandon Pajemski while being guarded by Morant, something remarkable happened. Instead of powering through and insisting on taking advantage of the one-on-one matchup like he might have done in the past, Kuminga pointed toward Quinton Post, directing him to set a screen, reading the defense like a veteran. Steve Kerr had to be smiling. This is what he'd been waiting for. Let's talk about what Jonathan Kuminga actually did in this game, because the numbers tell a beautiful story. Kuminga finished with 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. A double-double, leading scorer for the Warriors, game high in points. But it's how he got there that matters. He shot 9 of 14 from the field. That's 64.3% shooting in 32 minutes of action. He also had a block. This was efficiency. This was control. This was a player who knew exactly what the team needed and delivered it. The way he scored was varied: transition drives, half-court drives, and being fed on the roll after pairing up with Curry. He wasn't one-dimensional. He was reading the game, adapting, evolving. And the rebounds? Through the first 4 games of the season, Kuminga has totaled 32 rebounds, an average of 8 per game. Prior to these first 4 games, he never averaged more than 4.8 rebounds per game in his career. 8 boards a game. 8! For a wing player. That's not just improvement, that's transformation. The Warriors needed this version of Kuminga. Not the guy hunting for his shot, not the player sulking about his role. They needed the complete player, the two-way threat, the guy who makes winning plays even when his name isn't being called. Monday night, that's exactly who showed up. With the game still somewhat in reach for Memphis in the fourth quarter, Kuminga made sure there would be no comeback story for the Grizzlies. In the fourth quarter, Kuminga continued his impressive performance with 10 points in the final frame to close the Grizzlies out. Here's what made this so special. Steve Kerr was managing a back-to-back situation. The Warriors had to play the Clippers the very next night. With the second game of a back-to-back on the slate for Tuesday, Kerr pulled his older starters and got them a few extra minutes of rest. But he kept Kuminga in. Think about that for a second. Kerr trusted him. Trusted him to steer the ship home. Trusted him to protect a lead against a desperate Memphis team that still had their starters in the game. The offense ran through Kuminga, who relentlessly attacked Memphis's defense and made the Grizzlies look like token amateurs. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't garbage time stats. This was Jonathan Kuminga being the guy when it mattered most. Now, let's be real. Kuminga didn't do this alone. The Warriors put together a complete team performance, and that's what makes this win so encouraging. Brandon Pajemski added 23 points and 6 assists. Jimmy Butler and Moses Moody both scored 20 points. Stephen Curry added 16 points. Draymond Green dished out 10 assists before fouling out with 7 minutes and 32 seconds left. This is the depth the Warriors have been looking for. This is 5 guys in double figures. This is the kind of balanced attack that wins championships. Moody was absolutely unconscious from 3. Moody shot 6 of 10 from the field with 5 made three-pointers against the Grizzlies. 5 threes in 22 minutes off the bench? That's microwave scorer energy right there. As a team, the Warriors were excellent from beyond the arc, going 18 out of 35 from range and converting 51.4% of their overall shots. When you're shooting like that and playing with that kind of ball movement, you're nearly impossible to beat. And we can't forget the comic relief. Late in the third quarter, Draymond Green received a flagrant 1 foul for a hard grab of Santi Aldama from behind. When Aldama missed both free throws, Green galloped around with glee, high-stepping and dancing through the key. Classic Draymond. The energy, the swagger, the confidence, that's championship DNA right there. So where do we go from here with Jonathan Kuminga? The 2025-26 NBA season is only 4 games old, but Kuminga appears to have a new, controlled approach on the floor. While still fashioning himself as a player with a steady jumper, Kuminga is being more selective about what shots he takes from the perimeter. His patented power drives down the lane look a lot more polished. This is the evolution everyone's been waiting for: the patience, the discipline, the maturity. After the season opener, Steve Kerr spoke about Kuminga's progression and even credited superstar Jimmy Butler.
I think he just has a better sense of what's needed now compared to past years, and I think Jimmy has really helped him too. Jimmy has really talked to him a lot during camp. He's taken him aside after practices, and I think Jonathan is, you got to remember, he just turned 23, so.
23 years old. Let that sink in for a moment. This kid is 23 and putting up performances like this after navigating one of the most contentious contract situations in recent Warriors history.
In JK's game that was shown tonight, one of the things Steve said is, you've kind of taken him aside in camp and had some conversations. I'm just curious what you're seeing out of that dynamic and what you are trying to do to maybe grow his game.
I just want to help JK be great. I mean, he's got so much just raw talent, and he's so aggressive, he's athletic, he's super smart.
The Jimmy Butler mentorship is real. Having a veteran like Butler, someone who's been through the wars, who's carried teams, who knows what it takes to win at the highest level, that's invaluable for a young player trying to figure out his identity. But here's what might be the most impressive part of this whole story. Despite everything, the contract drama, the trade rumors, the public negotiations, Kuminga came back and bought in completely. That's championship culture right there. That's what separates the Warriors from other organizations. When things get messy, when egos could get involved, when feelings could be hurt, the veterans step up and make it clear: we're here to win. Nothing else matters. And Kuminga responded. He didn't come in with a chip on his shoulder. He didn't sulk. He didn't try to prove everyone wrong by forcing shots and playing selfishly. He came in and did exactly what the team needed. He rebounded, he passed, he defended, he made the right reads. And when it was his time to score, he was absolutely ruthless. Now, we've got to give Memphis some credit too. Ja Morant had 23 points and 9 assists for Memphis, but missed all 6 of his three-point tries. Jock Landale had 17 points and 6 rebounds. Morant did his thing. He attacked the rim relentlessly. He created for his teammates, but the Warriors' defense made life difficult. And when the Grizzlies needed to close the gap in that third quarter, they just couldn't get stops. The final score? Warriors 131, Grizzlies 118. It was closer than that dominant 21-point lead the Warriors had at one point, but make no mistake, Golden State was in control from the opening tip. Okay, let's zoom out for a second and talk about what this all means for the Warriors season. They're now 3-1. They've got wins over the Lakers, the Nuggets, and now the Grizzlies. The only loss? That weird blowout to Portland on the second night of a back-to-back. The Warriors currently rank 5th in the NBA for three-point shooting, converting 40.8% of their shots from range. They also rank 6th in the NBA for assists per game with 28.7 and had 34 assists in this game against Memphis. This is a team that's moving the ball, shooting it well, and most importantly, getting contributions from everyone on the roster. But here's the real question: can they sustain this? Can Kuminga keep playing at this level? Can the veterans hold up over an 82-game season? The good news is that Kuminga's improvement looks real. This isn't just a hot shooting night. During one stretch in the first quarter, Kuminga started to drive baseline, hesitated as defenders slid over, then dropped the ball through for the easy score. That's the kind of nuanced, high IQ basketball that you can't fake. The Warriors have something special brewing here. You've got a Hall of Fame point guard in Curry still playing at an elite level. You've got 2 championship-tested stars in Butler and Green providing veteran leadership and defensive intensity. You've got young talent like Kuminga, Podziemski, and Moody taking significant leaps. This isn't a team that's just hoping to make the playoffs. This is a team that believes it can contend for a title. And performances like Monday nights against Memphis, that's the kind of game that builds confidence. That's the kind of game that creates belief. For Jonathan Kuminga specifically, this was more than just a good game. This was validation. This was proof that all those trade rumors, all that contract drama, all those doubts, they can fuel you instead of breaking you. Whether it was said aloud or merely implied, the plays that were called and the way Kuminga attacked suggested that message was for Kuminga to steer the ship home. Steve Kerr handed him the keys, and Kuminga didn't just drive, he put on a show. So let me bring this full circle. Jonathan Kuminga could have come into this season bitter. He could have been a distraction. He could have played for himself, padding stats, trying to boost his trade value, worrying about his next contract. Instead, he came in and showed everyone exactly why the Warriors fought so hard to keep him. 25 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, game-high scorer, controlled aggression, mature decision-making, defensive effort, leadership in crunch time. This is what it looks like when a young star stops fighting his role and starts embracing it. This is what happens when veterans invest in your development and you actually listen. This is what a turning point looks like. The Warriors beat the Grizzlies 131-118, but the real story wasn't the final score. The real story was Jonathan Kuminga announcing to the entire league, "I'm here, I'm ready, and I'm just getting started." There are still 78 games left in this season. There's still a long way to go, but if Monday night was any indication of what's coming, Warriors fans should be very, very excited about the future. What did you think of his game? Is he finally putting it all together? Can the Warriors make a real championship run this year? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss another Warriors video.